Hello, everyone. It's been a minute. It's gonna be just me today. Chris slacking on the job as always, so you're stuck with me. Um, yeah. So might have to find a new podcast host since Chris is has other priorities, but we'll see. Anyone willing to do it, let me know. Quickly run through the week one games, then we'll get into week two, and then this week. So in week one, probably the biggest game was Team McGee versus Team Mr. Jones. Relatively close game. Kind of came down to quarterbacks, really. Hurts and Penix were both really good for Mr. Jones, and then Drake May and was okay, and Sam Darnold was pretty bad. So yeah, losing Kittle definitely hurt Team McGee a lot, but obviously has CD, JT, and Saquon, so that's gonna kind of help him out a little bit. On Cam's side, probably hasn't gotten the receiver production he wanted out of Brian Thomas and Judy so far. We'll wait to see. But A-Chain and Cook both had big games, 18 and 15 points, and then James Conner was pretty decent as well. So overall, Cam got a win, which is good, and Team McGee wasn't too bad, so it didn't hurt him too much if it ever comes down to points in the first place. Moving on, another somewhat important game, two teams trying to compete, was Lamb Chop versus Big T. Looking at this game, Burrow, not that great, and then he got hurt next the following week, so that kind of stunk for him. And then AJ Brown's not been great. Neighbors wasn't good this week. Obviously, he was good the next week. So tough week for Big T. Close loss, which always stinks. On Lamb Chop's side, had Jaden Daniels. Played well. Bucky Irving was okay. Pollard probably hasn't been what he thought so far. And then Baker has been awesome again. Somewhat surprising to me. But yeah, apparently Baker's probably just a top 10 quarterback moving forward at this point. I expect Lamb Chop's team to probably get a little better, but getting a first win was all you could ask for, really. Looking at the next game, we had Biondi versus me. I did a terrible job setting my lineup as always, so shout outs to me. I think I had the most max points forced this week and somehow scored 84 points. So yeah. Looking at Beyondi's side, Goff just didn't get really the touchdowns this week, and then Bryce Young hasn't been very good. So that's kind of what happened there. Puka had a big game. As always, Bijan had a big game. So that's kind of where all his production came from. Biondi had 85 to my 84, so a nice first win for Biondi. Looking at my side, the quarterbacks scored a bunch. Obviously, Josh Allen had 38 and Kyler had 18. Those are pretty much all my points. No one else did a single thing, basically. Left a bunch of points on the bench. Zay Flowers with 24, Javante Williams with 19. So, yep, that one is 100% on me. So, good thing that Biondi faced someone that doesn't know how to manage a team. Moving on, another close game. We had Jack Attack versus Reckless, or Taint versus Danny. Mahomes has been really good with the rushing so far. Danny lost. It was 102 to 101. Jack Attack won. And so, yeah, looking at, I guess we'll look at Taint's team first. Herbert had a huge game. That was good. And then Purdy had a big game as well. Other than that, probably they got the production he would have wanted. 10 receptions for Gibbs and only 10 points. It's kind of crazy, but whatever. Chase didn't have a big game. Jacoby Myers was pretty good. So that's probably a production you wouldn't really expect. But I think overall, looking at Taint's team, definitely underperformed and he still got the win. So definitely positive things moving forward there. Finally, we had Trent versus Mitch, the two teams that are kind of tanking right now. McCarthy had a big game, but then he got hurt, so not great there. He started Merritt. Buka's been awesome so far, tons of touchdowns. Laporta, pretty good first week, and then he started Warren in the Superflex. Warren's been awesome, so definitely a team that has multiple tight ends. If anyone's looking to trade one, I haven't talked with him, but I assume he'd be willing to trade one of them. Yeah. And then on Mitch's side, I don't know what the heck is going on with Tua. That guy could throw the ball like 30 yards now. So yeah, that's a little scary. Other than that, Cam Ward's still getting used to things. Obviously, he'll get better. The big problem with Mitch's team is he doesn't really have any running backs, so not getting any production there. Sutton had a good game. London hasn't been great so far, but overall, yeah, just two teams that aren't looking to compete anyway, so not much to talk about there. Moving on, we have week 2, another, and what should we talk about here? I guess the most important game, or one of the more important games, was Lamb Chop versus Mr. Chris. Chris's team bounced back after a bad week 1. Dak had a big game. Trevor Lawrence had a pretty big game. And then, yeah, just pretty good overall. Still not getting the production out of the receivers he'd probably want. And then Hampton hasn't looked amazing so far. Wait to see if that's how it is moving forward. But on Lamb Chop's side, Jaden Daniels pretty good as always. Baker, big advantage at quarterback. Obviously, Brock Bowers was a little hurt for this game, so that was not helpful. And then just didn't really get touchdowns from anyone, so that's kind of what held him back. He lost by under 5 points, so any touchdown would have kind of secured the win for him. But Chris sneaks out with the win here. All right, moving on, we have me versus Trevor. A better game managing for me, but just didn't score enough points. Trevor obviously had a ton of production. He got Drake May had 26, and Rogers had 12, so decent production at quarterback. But Devontae Adams had a really big game. He had 19 points, and Saquon and JT kind of killed me, so I appreciate Trevor using my old players to destroy me. On my side, Javonte had a big game. Pickens had a decent game, but overall, nothing crazy really going on my side. So another loss. Interesting to see. Not sure really what to do on with my team at this point, but we'll see what we are doing moving forward. Moving on, we have Big T versus Mitch. Big T got a win this week, but he lost Burrow, which kind of stunk. Obviously, the big one was Neighbors, went for 167 and 2, so that kind of carried him. Not a ton of production everywhere else. Jordan Love had a big game, and yeah, he got through. Mitch just really not scoring points yet. Obviously, he's waiting for Cam Ward to get better. And then London and Sutton will have better games. But Tua's looks a little scary. And yeah, that's Mitch's team, really. Moving on, another important game was Biondi versus Taint. Biondi had a huge game. Jared Goff had 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. Bijan had 143 yards. I mean, just everyone kind of went off here. Puka had a big game. Daniel Jones apparently is the next coming now. Shout out to the Giants for not knowing how to do anything. Yeah, it really hurt. Tate didn't have a second quarterback, so he started Jacoby Myers in the super flex, which kind of hurt. Losing by 3, you probably assume that's kind of where he lost the game there. Gibbs had a good game. Herbert had a good game. Odunze's been amazing, so wish I got him. And Chase had a huge game, so it hurt. It probably hurts to lose this game given what he got from Chase and Odunze, but not much you could do there. Moving on to the next game, we have Mr. Jones versus Danny. Mr. Jones won by a decent amount here, kind of carried by the running backs. James Cook's, I think, RB1 so far, and then A-Chain has also been really good because Tua only checks down, so that helps. He had Kraft went off. James Conner was decent. Penix had a bad game, but probably expect better from him moving forward. So it'll be interesting to see what Mr. Jones does. He probably needs some help at wide receiver. I'm not sure what his draft capital is really like at this point, but yeah. And then on Danny's side, just not getting any production from the rookie running backs he probably want. Genti with 5 points and Harvey with 2.9 is probably not what he's looking for. And then everywhere else is just kind of decent. The quarterbacks were decent. Caleb had 18 and Mahomes had 23. So you can't expect too much more from the quarterbacks, but I guess Danny had put up some players on the trade block. So I guess if anyone needs some of those on the running back or a receiver, Danny kind of has some guys that may be interesting. So, but another loss for Danny. He's 0-2 to join me at 0-2. So hopefully Danny his players start playing a little better or he could get some trades done. Obviously he has some draft capital. I think he has a couple of first round picks in the next two drafts. So maybe another year out, but it depends what he wants to do. I assume he could probably make some moves to be more competitive now, but not sure which way he's leaning there. Moving on, we had Skullcap versus Trent. Skullcap had a huge game. McCaffrey is fully back, playing tons of snaps. Lamar, and moving on, I mean, Amon-Ra had an awesome game. So he scored 130. Definitely one of the contenders. He's now 2-0. Trent fell to 1-1. McCarthy wasn't quite as good, and then just didn't get some of the same production from his guys. Warren was decent. He got some good production from Mac Jones. Interesting to see Skullcap's quarterback two position. I don't know where he's leaning with Gino and Rattler, and but some of the other guys on his bench. I mean, Caleb Johnson looks real bad at this point. Dobbins kind of looks like he may be the running back to have in Denver, at least for now. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see who he plays this week. Moving on, we had. I think I talked about all the games actually. All right. So we'll move on to this week then. Talk about my game first. I got 35 points heading into the weekend. Josh Allen had a decent game, 23, and Waddle scored a touchdown, which was a little lucky. So means it probably is a close game at this point. It looks like Tane is starting Mariota and at quarterback, Zach Ertz. So looking at the matchups, Gibbs and Williams versus Javonte, Gibbs and Kyron versus Swift and Williams. Definitely have to lean more towards, if not fully go to Taint's side there. Looking at the receivers, it's Chase and Odunze versus Pickens and Waddle. Obviously, Taint has a big lead there. I guess I'm starting Kyle Pitts. Probably a bad idea, but whatever. He's starting Zach Ertz, so that's kind of even. And then Zay Flowers versus Montgomery is somewhat even. And Kyler versus Herbert, also probably somewhat even. So I probably lean Taint here. Just think that the running backs are just too big of an advantage. Not sure Javonte kind of keeps what he has going rolling at this point. Seems somewhat unsustainable, but who knows? Moving on to the next matchup, it was Chris versus Big T. Looking at the quarterbacks, it's Dak and Love versus Dak and Trevor Lawrence versus Love and Russell Wilson. Not sure if I would be doing Russell Wilson this week, but it's hard to start CJ Stroud the way he's played, so I kind of get it. Definitely think I would be leaning more towards Chris's side. I'm not the biggest Lawrence fan, but definitely think I have him over Russell Wilson. Looking at running backs, it's Hampton and Jacobs versus Henry and Hall. I think that Hall is a decent amount. I'd want Hall a decent amount better than Hampton, so gonna lean a little bit towards Big T there. Looking at the receivers, it's Jefferson and Harrison versus Neighbors and AJ Brown. I definitely would want to have Big T's receivers. And then tight ends, neither of them have a great one. It's Fryermuth and Sanders, so it is what it is. Chris has a pretty big advantage probably at flex. He has ETN versus Keenan Allen. So I definitely would want to have ETN there. A lot of faith in the Jaguars, so hopefully they play well for Chris. Overall, I think I'm leaning towards Chris. So yeah, go Chris. Even though you didn't want to show up. All right. Next matchup is Skullcat versus Mitch. Looking at the quarterbacks, it's Gino and Lamar versus Tua and Cam Ward. Definitely going to be leaning towards Skullcap's side there. The running backs aren't super close. It's Chuba Hubbard and Chase Brown versus Rashad White and DJ Giddens. So two backups versus two starters there. Amon-Ra and Mike Evans versus London and Sutton. Given the matchups, I might lean a little bit towards Mitch's side there, actually. I think Drake London's going to bounce back one of these games. He might be in store for a big game here. So, yeah, I would lean Mitch there, actually. And then tight ends, it's McBride versus Njoku. McBride's probably the best tight ends in fantasy until Brock Bowers is healthy, at least at this point. So, definitely going to lead with McBride. And then McCaffrey versus Tillman in the flex just isn't close. So, overall, Skullcaps should pretty easily win this game. But who knows? Maybe Mitch is going to pull one out of the hat. Going on to the next game, we have Lamb Chop versus Trent. So looking at the quarterbacks, it's Jaden Daniels and Baker versus, I guess he's just starting Mac Jones. Yeah, Mac Jones, and then he has Judkins in the Superflex. So, I guess Lamb Chop hasn't changed his lineup. I guess because Jaden Daniels is out, so interesting to see if he ends up starting him or not. I don't know. Lamb Chop, maybe he's not paying attention, and we'll get another Trent win. Looking at the running backs, Lamb Chop has Bucky and Tony Pollard, and Trent has Travion Henderson and Jacoby Merritt, Bill, whichever one you want to call him. So that probably definitely would go with Lamb Chop there. Bucky's definitely the best out of that group, and then Pollard, probably the second best, but maybe, yeah, I'd probably still say Pollard over Merritt. So yeah, moving on to receiver, we have Ladd and Tet versus Quentin Johnson and Ibuka. Definitely think that's a big advantage for Lamb Chop. Ibuka's a little hurt, so definitely would take Tet over both of them and Ladd over both of them. At tight end, it's probably pretty close. We have Brock Bowers versus Laporta. So yeah, definitely probably gonna lean Brock Bowers another week after the injury there. So yeah, and then Terry versus Tyler Warren in the flex. Terry with Marcus Mariota, I'm not really quite sure about, so I'd probably even lean Tyler Warren there. But overall, Lamb Chop should win this game, assuming he changes his lineup and puts a puts a quarterback in. Bo Nix is sitting there, so we'll see. We'll see if he gets that or not. All right, moving on. Next game, we have Team McGee versus Mr. Connolly. At quarterback, it's Drake May and Aaron Rodgers. For McGee, and Danny has Mahomes, and which one's he starting? Caleb Williams this week. So I'm definitely going to lean to Danny there. Mahomes is a pretty big advantage over all those guys. And then Caleb's been decent for fantasy, even though he hasn't looked amazing so far. At running back, it's Saquon and Jonathan Taylor versus Genty and Warren. Pretty easily goes to Trevor there. I'd expect those guys to score maybe even 10 points more. So moving on to receivers, it's Wilson and Lamb versus Njigba and Devontae Smith. Again, Trevor has a really good skill position, so definitely going to lean to his side there. CD and Garrett should pretty well outscore Njigba and Smith, especially I guess Smith and Jigba's kind of hurt right now, so we'll see how much he ends up playing. Looking at tight ends, it's Goddard versus Johnny Smith. I don't expect a ton of points from either of them, so say that's even. And then it's Devontae Smith for Trevor in the flex versus Ricky Pearsall. Big game for Devontae Adams last week. They probably still need to throw a ton this week because they're playing Philly, so definitely going to lean towards Trevor's side on that one. Moving on to the next game. We have Mr. Jones versus Biondi. Mr. Jones has had a couple people play. He had A-Chain and Cook, who got him a combined 31, so he's off to a good start. Looking at the quarterbacks, it's Jalen Hurts and Michael Penix for Cam, and Goff and Daniel Jones for Steve. I think overall, I'd probably lean a little bit towards Biondi. Goff should have to throw a bunch against Baltimore, and then Daniel Jones is apparently good again, so I probably lean there. I'm not super secure with Penix, so I'm not quite sure if he's going to have a great game or not. So, yeah. And then moving on to running backs, we have Bijan and Kamara. So in order to match, they'd have to get 31. That would I'd probably say that's a pretty good line, so we'll call that even. Looking at receivers, it's Puka and Nico Collins versus Brian Thomas and Metcalf. I'd probably give the advantage there to Steve. He probably has both of his receivers are better than both of those receivers, so yeah. TJ Hawkinson versus Kraft in the tight end position. Kraft would have the advantage, but he's kind of hurt, so I'm not really sure how much I trust him this week is the problem. TJ Hawkinson just looks really bad, so I'm not sure I trust either of those. I'd probably lean a little bit to Kraft still. In the flex, it's Ken Walker versus Jordan Mason. Both of them should get a lot of work because their other running mate is hurt. I'd probably lean Ken Walker just because he's going to have all of that backfield now. So I expect a bunch of points there. Overall, I think Biondi probably squeaks this one out, but it should be a really close game. Probably best game of the week. So, yeah. Hopefully Chris will join me next week. Maybe not. Maybe I'll need one of you guys to join me. But yeah, overall, yeah, we're trying to keep doing this. Obviously, it hasn't been a good start, but we'll try to be better. All right. Thanks, guys.